Right. So a few days ago, I made I made a statement. I made something that got me a lot of flack and a lot of different criticism. And I said that I think Liverpool and Tottenham put on the best Premier League fixtures, bar none. I think they're always the most exciting, the most full of tension, the most full of drama. You had Arsenal, Chelsea, you've had United City at points, you've had Liverpool City. But I think Liverpool and Tottenham, regardless of who the manager is, regardless of who's playing, regardless of the situation, is the best fixture in the Premier League in terms of excitement. And today was another one because we've just absolutely. I want to say smash Tottenham, but 6-3 probably flatters them. I think more so than anything. I've got Reese, I've got Dylan, I've got Stitch. We're going to go through everything because there's so much to break down and only an hour to do it. So I mean, yeah, like I'll sort of put out to everyone like, how's everyone feeling after that or that result?
Personally, I'm obviously super happy. Let's just put that there. But I'm gonna be that guy. Those 3 goals we conceded just kind of left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. And I feel stupid even saying it because we won 6-3. We've gone 4 points clear with a game in hand on Chelsea, which is fantastic and everything's good. So it's not like I'm going to dwell on it, but I just got to be honest. Like at the final whistle, I celebrated the fact that we got 6 goals and we could have got loads more, but I was also a little bit pissed off that we let them score 3. And maybe that's me being greedy, but that's my overall feeling. But I'm celebrating. I'm taking the win.
Oh, I agree. Dylan, I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, same as that. To be honest, it's not great that the goals we conceded, a little bit of sloppiness and complacency always came in. But you know what? 4 points clear, top at Christmas. Who cares really when we go away from home and score 6 goals? So don't worry about that happening. Just take the win for what it is, and 6 goals away from home, you still got to be happy with, haven't you?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, I suppose, with the fact that there was a narrative going into this one, especially because of what happened there last season. And I think there was a lot of people going, is this going to become our new bogey ground? Is this going to be an issue? Blah blah blah. I think we pretty quickly put that to bed with the first goal that we scored. And I mean, Reese, like those first few minutes, first half an hour, were like some of the best attacking football we've played this season, bar none. It's some of the best attacking football we've seen in years. I'm not saying it's the best because obviously we had years of Klopp and his philosophy of attacking football, but there was something about it. It was incisive. It was brilliant to watch. Like, do you think how do you think we did in that first half hour? Obviously, with the goals and just the way we played in general.
I think, like what you said, I think it's been some of the best football we've played this season. But I do think the way Tottenham play, it plays into our hands because they play football as well. So even when we was controlling the game and winning the game, most teams, maybe a smaller team, being 4-5-1 down, they might have kind of given up. But because Ange has kind of installed that way of playing, they only kind of play one way. They're going to keep going. Obviously, it's like Stitches said, it's unfortunate we conceded some silly goals because really that wasn't really a fair reflection. It makes it look like it was a great game back and forth where it was quite a very one-sided game. Really, at best, Tottenham should maybe had 1 goal. We could have had maybe around 10 goals. But like I said, supporting Liverpool, a lot of the time when we're playing teams, it's usually kind of like a roller coaster anyway. They tend to not make things easy. They tend to make things difficult. So when it was comfortable, it was like it was too comfortable, too easy, and then allowed them back in. But I was never really worried that we was going to lose the game. It's just more frustrating, some of the silly mistakes. But the football definitely amazing. Obviously, nice to see Jota come on as well. Elliot, I would have liked to see Elliot get a bit more minutes, but like I said, the most important thing is that we got the 3 points, and obviously on to the next game.
Well, I think you made a good point there about the Elliott sub, and like I said, there's a lot to go through. We can go through the goals individually, but I think Slot analysed this and thought there is still a danger because absolutely we shouldn't have conceded 3 goals from Tottenham, but they are one of the best attacking sides in the Premier League. Let's face it. Take away all the defensive fragilities, the way they play, the way Ange is very stubborn in the way he wants to approach games, but there was still a danger there that they can score. And I think the fact that Slot did keep those starting players, those key players on for as long as he did, I think he just wanted the game dead and buried more so than he did anything. And, credit to him, it worked. And I suppose for that first goal, like Stitches, it was we talk about Arna's style of play, but he's very good at. We can route one it when we need to. We can lump it long when we absolutely need to. If we need to break that press in midfield, and that cross from Trent into Diaz, I mean, that was prime Alexander Arnold. In my opinion, I think he's the best passer in Premier League history now. Just might be recency bias, I don't know, but like that goal in particular was fantastic to watch, wasn't it?
Doing my favourite trick of being on mute again. Listen, glorious. There was some sumptuous delivery of the ball being shown around the pitch. I mean, Trent is an absolute wizard with that right peg of his. We know it, but sometimes you just drool watching some of the stuff he does. The amount of passes where he just nonchalantly it's like just a wand. He just, swazzes it and it's just there, perfect weight, perfect speed, perfect delivery, and the defender's taken out. He can't do anything. And the level of passing that he reaches and the level of passing that he delivers regularly, it's just incredible. I just wish sometimes that he would be less sloppy. I don't want to be negative. Just in recent times, that nonchalance sometimes leads into some really scrappy passes. But today he was exemplary. He was outstanding. And I think you have to give a little word to Mo as well. Like, Mo's passing is so underrated.
Give him all the words you want, honestly.
It's so underrated. I mean, the nonchalance at which he just plays that first time pass over the top for the wingers coming on the other side, and when he does that outside Trivela, like outside of the foot pass, and I'm just like, he makes it look easy, but these passes are not. If you've played football at any standard, to see someone just able to just do that and deliver it on a sixpence. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy, and I'm glad he got in the goals today as well. He's gone into fourth position in all-time goal scorers for Liverpool FC, which is incredible when you think of the names on that list. And to think that there may be some that still doubt this guy and wonder, like, remember when he came in and we were told he was going to be a one-season wonder? It's just like ludicrous. Yeah. What is it, 7-8 seasons later, and he's just still posting up these numbers? Incredible. But I digress because we were talking about Trent. And Trent was phenomenal with his passing as per usual. I think, this is what makes it annoying, the contract situation. We won't go into that, but that is the thing. You lose that if we don't get him signed onto another contract. Yes, we can talk about, can he improve defensively? Yes, but again, we forget this guy's not a natural right back.
I thought he was solid today. I thought defensively he was good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I just meant in general, it's the thing that people talk about when they want to be critical about him, talk about his lack of expertise in defending, but look what he's achieved playing in that position in the Liverpool squad. So I just think it's an absolute joke. Like, people are not qualified. I've done half of what he's done. We'll sit there and criticize him all day long and try and bring him down. But absolute baller, mate. Absolute baller.
Yeah.
And, fantastic today.
Well, there was a warning sign earlier on as well where I think I've had to speed watch this because I finished work and then I had to just blitz through it as quick as I could. I have watched it, but it was that's why we were like a minute late. And there's a bit where he chips the ball over into a pocket of space, and I think it's the one where Salah hits the right side of the net, and you could see right away that link was there, the way they were playing, the way they were coordinating, and that first goal for Diaz was absolutely superb because of that. But we didn't let up, and Dylan, I mean, we talked about Ange Postecoglou gets a lot of credit for the way that he presses and the way that he wants his team to play this aggressive brand of football, but similar to what we saw, not critiquing him, at points under Klopp last season, obviously when things did start to deteriorate, it felt like we were pressing, but there was no point to it, and that seemed to be what happened today with Ange. Whereas whenever we pressed, there was a purpose to it. We only pressed if we could win something, and when we did, it was everyone was doing it. I mean, the teamwork today was superb that we saw, but what do you think? I'm trying to think how I can word this, but where do you think we won this match? Obviously, goals, we scored 6, but Do you think it was the midfield we just completely dominated? Do you think it was at the back we were just sweeping everything up? Like, where do you think the big victory on the pitch was today?
I think it's right from the start, really, in terms of the setup of the team, in all honesty, because having Diaz down the middle with Gakpo and Salah down the wings, in terms of that, it allowed us to almost do that press higher up, but as a unit, instead of kind of like as much as the energy he brings to the team when he's there. Nunez, sometimes he's a bit over the top in terms of I'm going to get it myself, and there's no kind of unit there sometimes. And I think that right from the start, almost the defensive unit that Tottenham had at the back today, with kind of inexperienced players and stuff like that having to step in, like Archie Gray to centre back, and Dragishin, who doesn't really play that often if they've got other people fit. So I think in terms of that, being able to get up higher to the pitch, so it allowed like Szoboszlai could be right on their 6, he could be right up on Basuma and almost press straight away from the start. So in terms of that, I think having those 3 that are fairly similar across the front instead of one who's just going to go by themselves allowed the midfield to be higher up, and it allowed Mac Allister to almost press on the 8 and Szoboszlai to press on the 6 in terms of that. So I think you could see that straight from the start, the first 15, 20 minutes, in terms of how dominant we were in terms of keeping them in their own first third and in our final third. It just meant that they couldn't get out in that first bit period. You saw it straight away with Forster almost passing it to Salah straight away, and in the first couple of minutes, Salah nearly had one from that. So I think straight away you could see the intensity was there to be right on them right from the start. And I think from there was kind of no let up from them, and they were lucky that it was only kind of 2-0 when they got their first goal back, because it could have really been 3 or 4-0 by that point, and by half time it could have been 3-4, 5-0. So yeah, I think the first half dominance just kind of set up the rest of the half, really, from the rest of the game really from there.
Yeah, I mean, that midfield choice was the right choice for this match. I think Szoboszlai needed to be in the starting lineup, and today he looked fucking phenomenal. Like that, I would argue that's possibly Szoboszlai's best game in a Liverpool shirt. Now, there's been a lot of big ones, obviously, but I mean, Reece, like, obviously, he got his goal, he got his assist, he was a pressing machine throughout, and I do think that there's a misunderstanding of Szoboszlai where if he doesn't get goals and assists, what's he good for? Similar to what Nunez gets. We know what he contributes, but you do want to see goals and assists. But I think today just emphasised how vital he is to this team in a sort of, for lack of a better phrase, like a Jordan Henderson way. Like, you don't see him doing the big numbers, but his role is vital. I mean, is Szoboszlai now a set starter in this team after this result today? Because looking at him in that form, it's hard to drop him from that squad, surely.
Me personally, I think he was a set starter already. I know obviously he hasn't always on the eye been the greatest, but we know there's a player in there. It's just, it seems like he's been, maybe his confidence has been suffering, or he's been overthinking certain decisions when he's on the pitch. But obviously off the ball, I think that's why Slot was still playing him, because athletically, how he like what he offers, the running and whatnot, kind of helps with grabbing Birch. But obviously Slot has said this, I think, whether it was a few weeks ago, that he does need to add more goals to his game. And I think the last few weeks he has stepped up in his performances. He started to get a few more goals. He was very dominant today. Going forward, he looked confident. You could see his confidence is kind of growing. So I think there's been certain things they've probably been practicing on the training ground. But I also think maybe, I don't know, Slot may have said he's motivated him in the right way. And for all we know, because we're being linked with certain players, Szoboszlai might see that as well, and the fact that Elliott's back, and he might think, I actually need to start doing a bit more on the ball going forward, otherwise I will lose my place because I am at Liverpool. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think Szoboszlai deserves all the praise. Obviously, long may it continue. I want him to keep getting more goals. But yeah, I think he's a great player and he's playing really well right now.
And I suppose I'll keep it with you, Reece, for a moment, just while we're talking about the goals while we're going through them, because Mac Allister, when it gets his goal as well, another player who might not be the best on the eye per se, but he does the hard work. He gets stuck in, gets the goal that he deserves. How he's winning that header, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's massive defenders around him. What did you make of his goal, just as a whole?
I think he just wanted it more. That's why I say it, because obviously, really, if you look at in terms of height, he has no right to win that header, but he's kind of gambled. He's anticipated where the ball's going to go, and instead of kind of just being static and waiting around. He's actually gone for the ball. I think a lot of what Mac Allister does is very underrated. I don't think he necessarily always gets the credit. I think he controlled the midfield. I think he was off the ball. I saw a number of times he kind of pressed and took the ball off a few of the Tottenham midfielders. I think he played really well. Mac Allister, obviously, he did come off. I was kind of happy with that as well because I do want to manage him. I'm not sure if he's still carrying a knock or not. Don't want to burn him out too much, but I think Mac Allister played really well. I think the balance of the team today was really. I think Slot got the starting lineup spot on. To be fair,
Yeah, he did. I mean, like I'm just getting all my bits back on. Go on, Stitches. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just on a couple of things with Szoboszlai, I absolutely agree with you, Reese. I think he was outstanding today, but I have a slightly different take from you on it. That I feel like Szoboszlai's been asked to do something different this season to what he was asked to under Klopp, and I think what we're seeing is him assimilating that information and understanding that role a little bit better. It's flowing a bit better now, whereas before I felt there's a bit of hesitance to his game, which comes from the fact that he's having to think about what he's doing, whereas right now he seems to be playing a lot freer in terms of knowing instinctively where he needs to be and just feeling a bit more comfortable in his skin in that position. So you might be right about the other factors in terms of, us looking at other players, Elliott coming back in, but I just think he's just a class player and it just needed a bit of time for him to learn what the manager wanted. And Arne's been very clear in his insistence that you're not just there to score goals. There's a requirement to do other things, and you can never doubt that Szoboszlai does those other things. His work rate is exemplary. I think when he's one of those players where if he's not there, you miss him because his legs, his press, his work rate, his endeavour in that midfield is ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So even when he wasn't delivering in terms of goals and maybe assists, he was still giving a lot to the team. And I think one of the biggest games where you saw that was against Arsenal, where he came on in the second half and just changed everything. So I'm very glad for him that he's now starting to feel a bit free or look a bit free and starting to add some goals and assists. I think that little setup for Salah today, I know we haven't got to that goal yet, but that is just so class, man. He took the defender out and the goalkeeper and just left Salah with a tap-in, with that reverse pass. And I just think that is what we know he can do. And I'm glad to see that he's starting to do those things now. With regards to Mac Allister, again, I agree, Reese. If you don't watch him, sometimes you miss what he does. There's a reason why Argentina only started winning in that World Cup when Mac Allister came into the squad as a request from Messi. So let's just break that down for a minute. Arguably the greatest player on the planet said to the manager, I need this guy with me in this team in order for it to work. So if Messi's saying that, he's got to be onto something, right? And as the proof is in the pudding, as soon as Mac Allister was integrated back into the squad, into the team, the results changed. And I think he's so underrated. And I think he's a type of player that we don't develop in this country. The intelligence to just bounce the ball, to move it, to pick pockets, to see passes that break lines and get the team onto the offensive, to read the game and intercept and, get in there. Just think, again, he's another one where if he's not in the squad, you really miss his impact. I think that those guys are really gelling. They're coming together. And remember, 2 seasons now? So they're coming into their third season where they're really starting to cement. This is the third season.
Second season.
This is the second one. There you go. So we haven't even done 3 seasons, and they've changed manager in that time as well. That just goes to show the quality of these guys. Do you know what I mean? So I just think there's more to come, and I'm so excited for the future. It takes me back to that comment by Gary Neville at the start of the season when he was talking about he'd rather have the Man United midfield than the Liverpool midfield, which I just laughed at because this is someone who's played the game. He's even managed at the top level, and he's got such a ridiculous take
No,
Like,
but
it's
you
so
know he don't
obvious.
really. He doesn't really believe that. He's got a narrative, and he works for Sky Sports.
Well, I hope so, because I've got to look at him sideways and start thinking, mate, are you all right? You need to stop smoking the Skittles. Leave
And
it
as a
alone.
manager, we know his manager record's quite questionable because, as you can see with Valencia,
Yeah.
like I said, it never worked out. He
Yeah.
never came back to management again. You
His
know,
commentary today was hilarious because you could just hear the pain in his voice as we were demolishing Tottenham. He just begrudgingly had to give us credit. I love it.
Well, we need to McAllister stats wise today. It was incredible. So he had an 88% pass accuracy, won 4 ground duels, 4 interceptions, 4 tackles. Like, he was all over the place. But he did, of course, make a mistake, which leads us on to Tottenham's first goal, which give credit where it's due. It was a class finish by Maddison. Like, the curve on it was fantastic. It was a really good goal. McAllister does slip, and suddenly PTSD starts creeping in from another game, which we're never going to mention. But, he did make the mistake there. He did slip. It did lead to a Tottenham goal. And we said, like Stitches has said, and like Dylan said, who I'm trying to get back on, don't worry, because someone said Where Did Dylan Go is my favourite. I'm trying my best. But Tottenham are a great attacking team, and that was proof that you can't slip for 1 second, because this is what they do. I mean, could we have done better, Reese?
100%. I think we got a bit complacent because we was quite so dominant in the first half. Like, especially the first 20 minutes, we kind of could have been out of sight. We probably missed around 4 or 5 clear-cut chances before we actually scored. I suppose those things kind of happen, but what I like is I know Slot, because he's kind of a perfectionist. He will kind of look at that game, even though we done really well. He will look at where we didn't do well, and he'll probably emphasize to the players that you can't really be giving away silly goals, because against a better team, the result might be different on another day.
Yeah. I mean, like, he will be. He's going to be pissed off that we conceded 3. But I suppose every side's got that game in a season where you scrape it. It's like an end-to-end stupid fest of a game. But, like, I agree that I'm disappointed we conceded 3, but at the same time, there's no Canate in that team. Robertson's not had a fantastic season. He had a fantastic game. I'm not personally too bothered that we did concede 3, because I've got sort of 13-14 season in my head where it's, we beat Cardiff City 6-3, and looking back, I'm like, well, it was entertaining for me, so fuck him. Like, and Dylan, who is back now, by the way, so everyone can calm down. We are fine. Like, what did you make of James Maddison's goal, man? Because like we said, we probably could have done better with it, but it was still a class goal from Tottenham.
Yeah, sorry about that, fellas. I don't know what happened. Just jumped off, but Maddison's goal was it was a good finish, to be fair to him. I mean, he just uses the 2 defenders to almost guide it into the corner, and I think a couple of people were saying Alisson probably could have done better with it, but for me, he's just almost used them and bent it around, started out wide from the post and bent back in, so it's just a good finish. And in terms of the build-up from it, it's a bit unnecessary, really, in terms of the build-up play to play that into midfield when they're trying to press. It could have just gone really out wide and didn't have to really play into that gap, but I suppose it's the way we play, isn't it? We play a little bit more controlled like that, so sometimes you might have to accept it might happen. But I know Maka wanted a foul, but not for me, really. It would have been really, really soft if you give a foul there. So, I think just a good finish from Maddison once he got out of his feet and bent it around the 2 defenders,
Yeah, and I said they we're going to concede, not because it does, not because it's like last season or anything, but it's Tottenham. They will score. They will do something. And following on from that, they did do something, and that was shit themselves, because it hit them on the counter attack. And you know who I don't think gets enough credit for this Szoboszlai goal, because it's an easy finish, so to speak. But when I was watching Mo run with that ball, and he's got 2 players on his left, he chooses the one player who he can't see, the one player who he's not looking at in Szoboszlai, and he still manages to picture off perfect. And Stitches said it perfectly before. Salah does not get enough credit for his passing range and his assists. And I mean, Stitches, like, It had to be finished by Szoboszlai, but the actual build up to that goal and to build up to that goal itself, and I've just repeated myself, was it was incredible. And Salah once again proved why he is the greatest right winger in Premier League history, coming through the middle there. Like, what did you make of the build up play to that Szoboszlai goal?
Is it? I could jump in here. Listen, that build up, exactly right, Lewis. It typifies what Mo Salah's about, that break, because he doesn't get enough credit for that part of his game. And I don't know if it's because people try to build this agenda of greedy Salah, even though he creates more chances for anyone else in our team than anybody else. And his assist numbers are ridiculous. But there's people out there who still peddle the media-driven agenda that Salah's greedy because he had that little tiff with Mane back in the day. And, people just think he's greedy. But there's examples of where other players could have done things. I mean, in the last game, we had Diaz on the edge of the penalty area, and he could have squared it to Salah or just played Salah in, and he went on his own. But he won't get the same amount of, clap back or the same amount of criticism as Salah would have done if he did things in that. But Salah's created. Like, think about it for a minute. This guy scored 2 goals today and had 2 assists. And how many other chances did he create that didn't get taken? Like, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, just the vision to be able to see that there's a man on his outside. I'm sure Szoboszlai was screaming for it as well, like probably calling for it. But to keep his head forward and make the defenders think that he's either going in his own or he's going to play it out to the left. And then just to make that reverse pass perfect into the path for Szoboszlai, who still had a bit of work to do, but he was in. He was in. And then I just think, yeah, it's glorious. It's glorious. I expect to see more of it. And yeah, he hit the bar as well. So, I mean, you almost wanted him to get a hat trick today. just to, like, I did want him to get a hat trick because he could have done. I mean, as I said, he hit the bar as well. I just think, yeah, that just for me typifies what Mo Salah have been about. He gets on the score sheet, but he also does the job as a right winger in terms of the creative aspects that you expect from a right winger. And he doesn't get enough credit for that. You know what I mean?
No, he doesn't. And do you know what's really weird as well? You touched then about, he could have had plenty more assists. He could have had this. So obviously he got his 2 goals and 2 assists. He had an expected assist number, like, XG, it's XA, of 0.15. So he wasn't even expected to get 1 assist and he still got 2. Like, he's out of this world in terms of ability of what he does. Yeah, he's ridiculous. And he is... Now, and this is something that I've stood by for years, and it's something that always gets me flack. You do the Suarez-Torres-Salah debate. Salah has been miles above both of them two for years, and I think now we are really seeing him. It's a bit of a broad state. I think he's hitting his peak. I think this is him reaching his... Because he's not a player who has deteriorated like other players when they hit their 30s. He's getting better and better and better. And I think this is him reaching his limit that a lot of players seem to reach when they're like 27, 28. He's out of this world. And Reece, like, he contributes to the next goal, the next Liverpool goal, sets up play on it over to the left-hand side. And Diaz and Gakpo, who... Look, Diaz is a left winger, but he can operate through the middle. Slot said so before the Southampton match that, Diaz can operate through the middle. It's something that we've seen once or twice. We're going to see more of it. But the interchange between him and Gakpo, sometimes Gakpo goes out wide, sometimes he goes in the middle, sometimes Diaz goes out wide. This one was just them two linking up brilliantly, and Salah is the beneficiary of it. It takes a block, a deflection, but he's still in the right position. And I mean, 4-1, were you ever in doubt that... Did you ever think that Tottenham could maybe come back into this? Like, what did you make of that situation?
There were worrying times because of just the silly goals we conceded, but I did think we were too far in front. Most games I always kind of look at, ideally I want us to get as far in front as possible, because there comes a time where we do kind of have a drop off, and if you do concede, you want to be in a position ideally where you can afford to concede. Whereas if you don't necessarily take your chances, and then you concede, like, say, like a 2-0. I always think 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline because if the other team scores, all of a sudden they're back in the game, similar to a 3-1. But I just felt we had too much for Spurs. The way we were playing today, like I said, it was kind of flattering that it was only 6 that we scored, to be fair. And Salah, I can't really put like the praise when it comes to Salah. It's endless. Like I said, the fact people only realize now that he gets assists, whereas he's been getting plenty of assists his whole career, not just necessarily at Liverpool, at Roma, at Fiorentina. I kind of agree with what you were saying as well, that I do think he's kind of coming into his peak now. I think the way he plays and how he looks after himself, I still think the next couple of years, barring where he doesn't get any injuries, I think we've he's only going to go from strength to strength. I think he's the top for the assists and for goals. I think it is in the Premier League right now. I think he broke another record.
Yes.
I think to do Liverpool's top scorers, I think he is the third top scorer of all time now, the fourth top scorer in our
fourth
club. Yeah.
Fourth.
So quality player, and weren't really worried to that extent that Tottenham were going to come back into the game. It's more just annoying, giving them that false hope. But I just think we had too much quality for Tottenham to do.
Well, I mean, we touched on his goals always get mentioned. Obviously, that was goal 229 for us, puts him fourth all-time scoring, 373 appearances, but he's also on 102 assists. So that is 331 goal contributions in 373 games. Like, for someone who's in the Premier League, in a Liverpool team who, don't forget, for the first season or two, we were battling just to get top 4. We haven't been a side who every single season has been competing for the Premier League title as much as we'd like to think we have been. They are ridiculous. He is the greatest right winger in the history of top flight English football. And I'm going back to 1888. I just think he is the greatest right winger this country has ever seen play in England. And I mean, Dylan, like, there's not enough superlatives that can do Salah justice, as we said. But today, I feel like everything goal-wise was given to him on a platter. What was Henry's Arsenal, Lou? Anyone know? If it's his goal and assist record, the goal and assist record's 20 assists in a season. That was Henry, if that's what we're referring to. But Dylan, like, that second goal as well, it's more fantastic play up the left-hand side, in behind, put across the box to Mo Salah, and it's just an easy tap-in for him. But this attacking play was so Salah, Mane, Firmino-esque, and, like, I can't do enough justice, and I can't get over how well Slot has taken these players who 12 months ago didn't seem like they were connecting very well, into turning them into this fantastic attacking football. Like, who is there a player that you don't think's getting enough credit today in that attacking front three who maybe does deserve a bit more praise?
Today, really, I know we got Sky Sports man of the match, but not enough people really talking about Luis Diaz as well, because he does bring that to it. When you look at the times he's played down the centre this season, I know there was a little bit of interchange with Gakpo on the left as well, but when he has played there, he got a hat-trick against Leverkusen, 2 today. Each time he is playing in that central position, he is offering a lot down the middle. So it's one of them kind of options where people always talk about, is it Núñez or Jota potentially as the best number 9? For me, he's well in that conversation as well, because every time he plays there, he does what's needed for it. And it, like I said earlier on, it allows us to almost press higher because he knows what the running needed for a winger is as well. So he equally doubles up with Salah or Gakpo when he does that high press with the wingers as well. So I don't think he's been talked about enough from today, because yes, he bags 2 goals, but I think across the front three, the him and Salah today were kind of the main driving force behind keeping them as far back as we were in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and I think which eventually set us up for the rest of the game. And you're just touching on Salah, like you said, there's not enough really superlatives to talk about Salah in terms of stuff you could mention for him, but equally, he does get 2 tap-ins today, potential tap-ins you might call them, but how many of them does he score in a season? So you can't say it's just something that's fallen to him. He's always there, and it's the mentality that brings to the other attacking players as well, that you see it like today where we go and score 6 potentially, where we've had 20 plus shots away from home against one of the top 6 teams. It's just the kind of elite mentality that he brings across into that front line that brings other people on in those kinds of instances as well. So, yeah, not enough to say about Salah, but for me, the Luis Diaz as well needs a mention from today.
Yeah,
Luis
I
Diaz
think
was. Yeah. Go on,
I think he was. I think he was really good today. But I think people need to understand the tactical difference when Diaz plays in that centre position to Núñez. It's not the same role. It's very different. I think Slot mentioned it in one of his recent interviews. He said he didn't play as a 9. He doesn't play him up there as a 9. He almost plays him as a attacking 10. Like it's a more withdrawn role.
Just really quick, just to not push back on all what you're saying, and I'm going to let you finish just really quick. I just want to show something really quick because I completely know where you're going to go with this, and to an extent, I agree with you. But just because this is the heat map from today that I'm going to show on screen now, and the furthest back of that front three is actually Luis Diaz. He's the number 7 there. So I know where you're going to go with this, and I agree that Núñez is not playing as a number 9, but Diaz, technically, just based on today, did do the same sort of role.
Yeah. So I think I'm going off what Slot said in his interview, aren't I? And he said he doesn't play him in the same role. So you're absolutely right. I think Diaz's selection ahead of Núñez today was pivotal to our press and the way that we wanted to press, and the way that we approached things with that front line. And I think all of them were outstanding today, including Gakpo, who I think gave Pedro Porro absolute nightmares. I think that was a masterclass in terms of making that selection to put him onto Porro, because Porro is one of their biggest threats, and he kept him on his defensive duty all day. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point that for me, I saw it slightly different. I think that obviously, I think Diaz is a very effective player, but I think there's certain games where he's selected to do that role and it makes it more effective. And there are other games where you need that man centrally higher up to occupy the 2 centre backs. And I don't think that was today. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that was today. But equally saying that, I just to talk about Diaz in his own right, absolutely, Dylan. I think he was class today. I think my issue, and maybe I speak for other fans when I say this, is that it's the constant flirt with Barcelona that kind of stops me giving him my heart, if you know what I mean. Because I feel like he'll break it at some point because there's all this flirting with Barca and constant. His dad coming out with the comments, his agent saying stuff and things like that. And he's the kind of player that I absolutely want to go nuts and go over the top about and just, shout about all the time. But I'm not certain that he's fully committed to us in that regards. That's why he hasn't made, for me, speaking personally, maybe why he's not completely getting the love from me at this moment in time. But yeah, what a player. What an absolute class player.
No, he is top quality, and I think he's always been someone who's struggled with the comparisons to Mane, much like Gakpo did when he first came into Firmino. And I think now he's starting to he's hitting his stride, and Slot deserves so much credit for the way he's got him playing the football he wants to play, and Gakpo playing the football he wants to play without changing Mo Salah too much. It's incredible what he's done. Stitches has got hurt too many times. Haven't we all? Honestly.
It gives me shades of Torres and shades of Suarez and those guys. I gave those guys my heart, man. And they broke it. They just left. They flirted with that bitch Barcelona and then left me for them. So yeah, it's a bit painful. It's still raw.
Well, while we're carrying on, we're going to put a game out to everyone that we'll do at the end. This is for the 3 guys on the panel. This is for anyone who wants to get involved with the comments. Please don't cheat and Google it because you ruin the fun, and we don't like that. It's pointless. Name every Liverpool and Tottenham double agents. That's every player who's played for Liverpool and Tottenham during the Premier League era. There aren't that many, surprisingly. So if you can name all of them, go for it. That's for these guys as well. Have a think of it, and then at the end we'll go around and go through it. And Reese, I mean, I feel like I keep going to you with the Tottenham goals because I feel like you're going to be very honest with your assessment of it. But that Kulusevski goal was top quality. Like Dejan Kulusevski this season has been Tottenham's player of the season, I think, and I think he's been one of the top 10 in the Premier League this campaign. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Surely there's nothing that we could do about that goal lump over the top and then just a terrific finish from the Swede.
No, I don't think there was much we could have done. I think anything that Tottenham were kind of offering in terms of going forward, it was kind of going through him. I always thought when he got the ball, he's their kind of danger man. Something can kind of happen. The only thing criticism I could say is obviously Jones just came on, so maybe he was a bit cold, but he kind of lost his man because I think Kulusevski was his man, but he was kind of drawn to the ball and then he was able to get into the 6-yard box. But in terms of the finish, there's not really anything Ali could do about that. Great finish. Even Maddison's goal I do like as well. I liked the way he kind of used Van Dijk and he just bent the ball around. In terms of those two goals, great goals. Can't really do too much about them. And in terms of when it comes to Tottenham, what I will say as a positive is that Kulusevski, and in this system, he seems to be thriving quite well. He seems to be using him where he's able to roam around the pitch a bit more. He's not necessarily stuck on the wing. He kind of pops up in the 10, sometimes pops up on the left and he pops up on the right.
Is he a player you'd have at Liverpool, Reese?
Yeah, 100% as a squad player. I'll take Kulusevski without doubt. I think he's a top player. I think he's wasted, unfortunately, at Tottenham because you're not really going to win anything there. So, but yeah.
I mean, I hope not. We've got them in the fucking League Cup next, but
I'm not worried about Tottenham. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a quality player. They've got absolutely fantastic attacking players. Lewis and Richie like trivia, and he's put Brad Friedel. So there's one there for you. There is 12 Liverpool and Tottenham players, by the way. Only 12, which is a bit weird, but hey ho, it is what it is. And I mean, Dylan, like it did feel like after those subs, we did sort of. It's not. I don't think we took our foot off the gas. I don't think we slowed down. I just think Tottenham sort of. It felt like there was more of a vulnerability about us, and obviously then they get that third goal, which Solanke scores. You know, it's a shame he couldn't do that with us only scoring one goal, but hey ho. Van Dijk for this one, like we can't say bad words about Van Dijk. He's Van Dijk. You know, he's one of the best centre backs we've ever seen in Liverpool. Next to like Alan Hansen and Jamie Carragher. Well, not Jamie Carragher, but you know what I mean. But could he do more in that team? Could he have done more winning that ball, getting looped over him? Or do you think he did sort of, there was nothing he could do leading to that Solanke goal?
No, I think he probably could have done more on it because I think he switches off because I think he's anticipating Robbo winning that first header, and of course he gets knocked and beaten to the header. So I think he's almost covering across a little bit further, expecting Robbo to win it in case he has to get there from Robbo's to win the second ball. And in doing so, he's probably stepped a couple of steps too far to the left, and that's left Solanke behind him. I think that's mainly the reason why that kind of happened, but just a little bit sloppy. And like you touched on with the goals that we ended up conceding, I think it almost turned into like under 15s, under 16s, where we're like, we want to score more, they want to get back in the game, and it almost turned into that where concentration levels just kind of dipped for 10-15 minutes in a period where it didn't really need to, and it just kind of felt like we're winning 5-1, can we go and get 6 and 7 rather than just going, we've won 5-1, if we get another goal it's a bonus, but we've won 5-1. I think that's just how that kind of 10-15 minute period went, and then it almost takes a little bit of the gloss away from it because you look at 5-3 and you go, oh, this seems like it's been a quarter of a game and they've been banging it all the way through, but it was never really like that. It's just kind of lapses of concentration, let them back in, and then to go and put the 6-1 kind of finished it off. But yeah, just all a little bit unnecessary to make that kind of period as many kind of goals as it was, because 5-1 is away from home is an unreal performance, and you just take it for what it is. You don't need to carry on to go and sit. It's nice to get 6, 7, 8 if you can go for them, but at the detriment to potentially what happened at the back, it was all a little bit unnecessary. But yeah, I think just lapses of concentration on those goals more than anything, rather than something to necessarily worry about.
Yeah.
So I think, just to answer your Van Dijk question, I think if I could be critical of a man that is above criticism, let me just put that out there.
No
I
one
would
is
love
above
to.
criticism. Let's just make that
I
clear.
think he's close to. He's close to. But what I would like to say is, I'd like to see him get a bit dirty sometimes. Like, let me explain myself because it sounds wrong. Like, this is
I know
I
where
know,
you're
kind of
I know where you're going, Stitches, but continue.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want him get in someone's face, like drag them down, do a slide tackle, or like rough someone up sometimes. And I feel like, again, it could be counterintuitive to his style of defending because he's very much a defender that anticipates and sometimes just steps in and takes it away rather than gets into the physical altercations unless he absolutely has to. But I think in that moment, he showed a bit too much space to Solanke for him to do a little dink over. I'd like him to just get in his face and just, you're a physical specimen. Just put your presence right on him and breathe down his neck. Like, let him know you're there in his face, and just, you would have prevented that. You would have prevented that if you took that kind of action. So if there is any kind of criticism to give, it would be that. And then the other thing is, like, just to have a different opinion on it, to Dylan, saying it was just, individual. I think part of what irks me about us conceding 3 goals is that it showed a little bit of a lack of professionalism. And let me expand on that. We were 5-1 up, right? And it felt to me a little bit like we got a bit complacent, took our foot off the gas a little bit. And I feel like if Slot is who I think he is, I don't think he's going to be happy about that. Regardless of the fact that we end up winning 6-3, I think he's going to be very pissed off. Like, I haven't had a chance to listen to his post-match interview, but I expect him to field questions about those 3 goals, and I expect him not to be a happy bunny about it, because you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah.
Because I want to get your opinion on it just while we're on this topic. And no one is saying, by the way, that anyone was poor or we were poor. We've just smashed Tottenham 6-3. But is that not Slot's philosophy? He does sort of pose this, we don't need to go 100% all the time, because we saw that under Klopp and players burn out. He does say to them, look, rest on your laurels a bit, slow it down, dictate the tempo. Is that just not his managerial philosophy, to slow things down a little bit and maybe at times become complacent because of it?
Absolutely. I think his byword is control. And it didn't look like control when we started conceding and they went to 5-3. And that's what made me feel a little bit like, we're 5-1 up. This game is done. Like, it's a matter of how many goals. And I'm the biggest LFC cheerleader. I'm the biggest positivity merchant normally. And I am positive. I love the fact that we won 6-3. But I think we do need to look at that. And yes, it's Tottenham. They're very adept at scoring goals against the top team. So let's give them credit. But I expect better from us than just capitulating to, like, let 2 goals in so quickly. And yeah, it's just that's the bit I think we need to deal with for us to become absolutely devastating. I think we're devastating at the moment, but to become absolutely devastating, we've got to be clinical and, like, in those crucial moments, like, kill the game. There's no opportunity for the crowd to get up. There's no opportunity for the players to think or have a little bit of hope to think that they could get back into game. Absolutely just murder them. Kill them dead, right? But to go from 5-1 to 5-3, I never thought we were going to lose. Let me just say that. But I was a bit like, oh, come on, man. Like, it's taken a little bit of the gloss off it now because you've let them score those goals. Do you know what I mean? And look, credit to Tottenham. Yeah. Like, they are a great attacking team. I don't want to take that away. But, like, let me put it into context. At the start of the season, we were talking about how miserly our defense was. Right? We had let in something like 2 goals in 10 games or something crazy. But at this moment in time, it's not feeling very miserly. I'm going into matches expecting the opposition to score a little bit and for us to win, but I expect them to get on the score sheet. That shouldn't be the case at this point, we need to, get back to that miserly defense. And I know Konate being missing is a big part of that, but the players on the pitch are good enough, to deal with those situations. And I think they all had a great game today. I think they all played really well. But I have to talk about Robbo. He shouldn't be getting beaten on the back post by Brennan in that way. It shouldn't be. There's no excuses for that. He shouldn't be getting beaten like that. And Brennan's not the biggest player out there in the world. Like, he absolutely dominated him in that challenge and headed it across. And I just felt that was a bit soft. So if I have to bring a bit of balance to the happy joy train that we're on for winning 6-3, it would be that. That is a slight concern for me today.
This is the thing, and Reese, I mean, you can let me know who you agree with, Reese. I mean, you might agree with both of us. This isn't like an argument, debate, or anything, but people obviously were going on about our defence being so solid at the beginning, but we played a newly promoted Ipswich, a Brentford team who were struggling, and a Man United team who were dog shit, let's face it. And Slot was new to the league, and I think people were taking time to learn how he wants to play. Teams will have sussed us out a bit more now. Konate is obviously out injured. Robertson's not in the best form of his life. So, I mean, is that the sort of... Could that be said as like a reason for the defence perhaps leaking a bit more than we'd like it to? Or do you think this is just, it's the Premier League, anything can happen?
I think there's obviously a drop-off when Konate is not playing. You can see that Konate and Virgil, they're kind of on another level with our defence, because when they were playing, you can kind of tell. I feel a lot more calmer. I don't really see us conceding. We just look very dominant, very sure at the back. Whereas, don't get me wrong, Gomez had a good game today, but it's a bit up and down with Gomez. It's like sometimes he may have a solid game, then the next game you expect him to have a good game, he might have a shaky game, and it's a similar thing with Kwanzaa. Robinson, it's tricky with Robinson because, like I said, I think with Robinson, he's good enough to be a squad player, but we can see that he's kind of declining. I've kind of felt this not just this season, maybe the past 2 seasons, that his legs are not what they were, and a lot of the mistakes he's making. A prime Robinson, that's not the mistakes he would be making. Similar to like what Stitches said, really, you kind of got to win your duels there. That header, if he obviously minus that mistake, he had quite a great game today. But if he wins that header, the ball doesn't come across and they don't score, kind of thing. So don't get me wrong as well. The Premier League, obviously, it's a competitive league. You get teams beating and upsetting teams, but I just think we definitely need to strengthen in terms of getting another centre back that's on the level of Van Dijk or Konate, because there's a significant drop off when either one of those two are injured, and we definitely need another left back. Obviously, it's unfortunate Tsimikas is injured, but yeah, I don't think Robinson, like I said, if we manage his minutes and he's a squad player and he plays games here and there, I think he can play, but I don't really think he can play consistently without making a mistake. That's just my view.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair enough. I mean, like, Dylan, what do you make of this whole, like, before we go, like, what do you make of this whole defensive situation? Like, are you concerned that we're conceding goals, or is this just a natural progression? Like, it's going to happen. We're fine.
No, I look at it in more of a kind of a realist type of thing. It's the Premier League. You're going to concede goals away from home eventually. You're not going to keep clean sheet after clean sheet every single week in, week out. At some point, you will start to concede a few goals. If we went on a run of the next 4 or 5 games where we only concede 1 or 2 goals, people will go on as about having the best defense in the league again. So it's just a case of you're always going to have ups and downs in terms of goals you concede. And realistically, yes, the last couple of games we have conceded a few goals, but look at the season as a whole so far. We haven't lost a game away from home yet under Slot. Think of it as that. We're going to concede goals eventually. When you're away from home and you've got the crowd on your back, eventually at times you are going to be a bit shaky and concede the odd sloppy goal. But if you can go away from home to another top 6 team and be 5-1 up when that happens, then so be it. It can happen. But like the when it's frustrating is like the Newcastle game, for example, where we concede 3 goals, where a game that with a couple of minutes left, we should probably see through. But equally, in that game, we were never really in it until we went and equalised for 2-2 and 3-2 in that game. So away from home in the Premier League, you're never going to have an easy ride every week. So you are going to concede goals. So for me, it's no real big concern, the goals that have been going in at the moment. We've still got the best goal difference. We still haven't lost a game away from home, and we're still top of the league at Christmas, 4 points clear. So who cares, really?
Yep. And you know what? I think that's the perfect way to end this, because we're top of the Premier League. We're 4 points clear. There's a game in hand, and we've got Leicester City, who just got beat 3-0 by Wolves today. So Ruud van Nistelrooy is going out of a job as far as I'm concerned. I said earlier on, name every Liverpool and Tottenham double agent. So I'm going to go ask you guys, you three, before we go into the comments. There are 12, I believe. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm wrong because I can't count. There's 18 Liverpool Tottenham players. Can you name me any of them?
I could name 3. One of them's been named already. Friedel, Jamie Redknapp, and then the other one, Robbie Keane. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Solanke.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Stitches. I feel like you'd be the type of person you'll have knowledge.
I've got a couple because it's my era. It's my era. Oyvind Leonardson, if you remember him.
Yes.
And John Scales.
Yes.
John Scales.
Yeah. John Scales.
I did have Jamie Redknapp, but that got mentioned. I did type it into the chats. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I thought Yossi Benayoun, but then I wasn't sure about that one.
It's Chelsea and West Ham, Yossi Benayoun.
Right. Okay. Cool. And he played London clubs.
Yeah, he played for 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, if I'm going through, so obviously I'll say the ones that have already been mentioned. It's not 18, by the way. I'm wrong because I've included the Women's Super League in this. No offense, I don't know the first thing. I'm so stupid. Dominic Solanke obviously is one. John Scales was another one that we touched on. Jamie Redknapp.
I just thought of one. Sorry. I just thought of one.
Crack on.
Ziga, the left back that also played in midfield. And did he lose his leg? I think he lost his leg in a
Christian Ziga. Yes, that was in 2000. I think it was. He played for us. He was around 99, 2000. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but there's a few that I'm going to name, and I think people are going to absolutely kick themselves because there's one in particular that I got wrong, and I hate myself. So Nick Barmby is, of course, one. Nick Barmby, one. Stephen Corker. There's another one.
Bloody hell. Yeah, Stephen Corker.
Yeah. Peter Crouch.
Of course.
I completely forgot. That was the one that I completely forgot, and I got that completely wrong. Brad Friedel, obviously, is another one. Robbie Keane. Paul Konchesky.
We want to forget that one.
Yeah, we don't want to remember Paul Konchesky. He was only there 2003, and I completely forgot about that. Danny Murphy. There's another one for us. Jamie Redknapp. Neil Ruddock. Razor Ruddock was at Tottenham 1992. He was at the ground. John Scales, Dominic Solanke, and Christian Ziga. They are all the players that played for Liverpool and Tottenham. Don't know how I forgot Peter Crouch. And you know what? I forgot about Neil Ruddock as well, because I'm clearly a fair weather fan. But that is what it is. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Reece, Stitches, and Dylan, for coming on. We've just beat Tottenham 6-3, top of the Premier League by 4 points with a game in hand. Leicester City is the next game that we play on Boxing Day. Tune in for just a quick thing with the streams. There will be no stream on Christmas Eve, I want to say, and Christmas Day, of course, because not here. I'm not sure about Boxing Day. Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a great time. I'll see you all after then. And these guys will see you soon.